They laughed together when no one was watching. They comforted each other when life became unbearable. Behind their smiles, however, there was a silence that held heartbreak, pride, and regret. For years, Elton John kept the truth of their bond hidden from the public. Their friendship was unique, yet complicated, shaped by fame, public scrutiny, and the pressures of a royal life. Elton John's connection with Princess Diana was far more than celebrity encounters or casual charity events. It was a friendship that brought comfort to two people who, in very different ways, struggled with the world around them. While the public only saw Diana's elegance and Elton's flamboyance, they shared a private understanding that few could grasp. Both were outsiders in their own worlds. Elton, constantly under scrutiny for his sexuality and extravagant lifestyle, never fully felt at home even in high society. Despite performing for royalty and mingling with aristocrats, Diana, on the other hand, was about to marry into a royal family that demanded perfection, poise, and silence, leaving her little room to express herself. Their bond began in 1981, at a time when Britain was captivated by the fairy tale of Prince Charles and Diana Spencer, a young nursery school assistant. While the nation saw a fairy tale engagement, Elton John recognized a kindred spirit in Diana. She was young, radiant, and yet capable of seeing the world in ways few could. Their first encounter occurred at Prince Andrew's 21st birthday party at Windsor Castle, a glittering affair of chandeliers, jewels, and royal etiquette. Elton, modestly dressed by his own standards, felt out of place among lords and ladies. But when Diana entered, the room seemed to shift. With warmth and charm, she made Elton feel at ease. They laughed, danced, and shared moments of lightheartedness that no one else witnessed. In that instant, a friendship was born, one that would endure trials, heartbreak, and tragedy, and leave a legacy of compassion and understanding that the world would later come to see through Elton John's eyes. As the 1980s progressed, their friendship deepened. Diana often attended Elton John's charity events, particularly those focused on AIDS awareness, a cause both held close to their hearts. At a time when AIDS was widely misunderstood and stigmatized, Diana's willingness to visit patients, shake their hands, and embrace them without gloves shocked traditionalists, but also transformed public perception. Elton witnessed her bravery firsthand, understanding that she cared more about people than appearances or public opinion. Their relationship was not just one of shared causes. It was one of shared vulnerabilities. Both knew the weight of public attention, the pressure to maintain appearances, and the loneliness that came with fame. Diana struggled privately with bulimia, sleepless nights, and feelings of isolation, while Elton battled addiction, self-doubt, and criticism over his personal life. In each other, they found empathy and honesty, a space where they could be themselves without judgment. Their moments together, whether in private conversations, charity events, or playful antics at parties, were filled with laughter, trust, and a sense of being understood in a way few could achieve. Elton often described Diana as refreshingly real, quick-witted, and unpretentious, while she saw in him a source of humor, understanding, and support. Their friendship was a rare connection in worlds where appearances matter more than feelings, and the depth of this bond only grew as their lives became more challenging. However, as with many close relationships under the scrutiny of fame, their friendship faced trials. By the mid-1990s, misunderstandings and external pressures began to strain their bond. One incident involved a charity project that Elton John had been working on, a coffee table book of rock photography, with proceeds going to an AIDS foundation. Diana had agreed to write the foreword, symbolizing her support and their shared commitment to compassion. Yet, unexpectedly, she withdrew her participation, reportedly due to royal disapproval. Advisors at Buckingham Palace objected to her involvement with images of semi-nude male models, fearing the association could tarnish royal reputation. To Elton, the withdrawal felt like a personal betrayal, not from Diana herself, but from the distance and silence that followed. Their once close friendship entered a period of separation, characterized by months of non-communication, mutual hurt, and pride that prevented reconciliation. During this time, both continued their work, Elton with his charity events and Diana with her humanitarian efforts, yet the emotional ache of a friendship left unresolved lingered. Despite their separation, the bond remained unbroken at its core. They share a unique understanding of each other's pain, forged through years of laughter, support, and shared challenges. Their eventual reunion at the funeral of designer Gianni Versace in July 1997 highlighted the enduring nature of this connection. Diana approached Elton, acknowledging the previous conflict and suggesting reconciliation. They shared a moment of humor and warmth, a reminder of the friendship that had always existed between them. Yet fate would soon intervene in a way no one could have anticipated. The tragic events of August 31st, 1997, forever marked the end of their friendship in the physical world. Princess Diana died in a car crash in Paris, pursued by paparazzi at the age of 36. Elton John, devastated by the loss, was asked to perform at her funeral, and in honor of her memory, reworked the lyrics of his 1973 song Candle in the Wind. The song, which began, "Goodbye England's Rose, may you ever grow in our hearts," became a global phenomenon, selling over 33 million copies and touching millions worldwide. Yet for Elton, the performance was not a career highlight. It was an emotional farewell to a friend whose presence had been integral to his life. The grief, the memories, and the shared experiences all came together in a song that transcended music to become a testament of love, loss, and loyalty. Beyond the public mourning, Elton continued to honor Diana's legacy by protecting her sons, speaking out against media intrusion, and maintaining a lifelong commitment to causes she championed. Through his memories and his actions, the world glimpsed the depth of their friendship, a bond defined not by glamour, but by laughter, vulnerability, and unwavering support. Elton John and Diana Spencer came from very different worlds, yet both felt like outsiders in their own lives. Elton, born Reginald Kenneth Dwight in 1947 in Pinner, Middlesex, England, had always been drawn to music. From a young age, he showed extraordinary talent at the piano, eventually attending the Royal Academy of Music, where he honed his skills and began forming the distinctive style that would make him a global superstar. By the late 1970s, Elton had already become one of the most famous musicians in the world, known for his flamboyant costumes, unique fashion choices, and hits that spanned decades. Despite fame and fortune, Elton often felt misunderstood and scrutinized, especially regarding his sexuality and eccentric personality. Though surrounded by fans, glittering lights, and constant attention, he sometimes felt isolated and longed for genuine connections. Diana, born Diana Frances Spencer in 1961, was the fourth child of the Earl and Countess Spencer. Growing up in a noble family with deep ties to the British aristocracy, she experienced a childhood that mixed privilege with strict expectations. She was educated at boarding schools, learned the rules of etiquette, and was expected to fulfill her role within the family and, eventually, the monarchy. Yet even as a child, Diana struggled with self-confidence, the pressures of formal education, and the public eye that seemed destined to follow her. By the time she met Elton in 1981, she was about to marry Prince Charles, a man she barely knew, into a life of intense scrutiny and expectation. While Elton's world was one of music, creativity, and self-expression, Diana's world was one of duty, restraint, and appearances. And yet, both shared feelings of loneliness, vulnerability, and the search for authentic companionship. This understanding formed the foundation of their friendship, a connection that would flourish over years filled with both joy and heartbreak. Despite the difference in status, one a rock star adored by millions, the other a princess caught in the constraint of royalty, they found in each other someone who could listen, empathize, and understand without judgment. It was this rare combination of trust, humor, and honesty that made their friendship so special and so enduring, even in the face of external pressures and personal challenges. The friendship that would later define both their lives began in the summer of 1981, at a time when Britain was captivated by the fairy tale engagement of Prince Charles and Diana Spencer. Elton John, already a familiar face in high society, was invited to Prince Andrew's 21st birthday party held at Windsor Castle. The grand ballroom was adorned with glittering chandeliers, sparkling jewels, and the kind of formality that could overwhelm even the most confident guest. Elton, dressed modestly compared to his usual flamboyant style, felt out of place among dukes, ladies, and other members of the aristocracy. Yet the evening took a magical turn when Diana arrived. Young, radiant, and exuding an effortless charm, she immediately put Elton at ease. Their first conversation was lighthearted, full of laughter, and surprisingly natural, considering the formal setting. Within minutes, they were mimicking the Charleston in the middle of the ballroom, a moment so spontaneous that even the Queen noticed and smiled. Elton later described feeling as though he had known her forever. Diana's ability to make anyone feel comfortable, to see through facades that others maintained, was remarkable. For Diana, the charm, humor, and openness of Elton offered a brief escape from the pressures of becoming a member of the royal family. She could be herself with him, without fear of judgment or scrutiny. That first encounter laid the groundwork for a friendship built on mutual understanding and empathy. They were both outsiders, Elton in the world of aristocracy, and Diana in the world of royalty. They shared private jokes, laughter, and moments of absurdity that would later become precious memories. Their connection was immediate, but deepened over time as they continued to see each other at various events, both formal and informal. Diana's warmth, honesty, and empathy struck a chord with Elton, while his wit, vulnerability, and authenticity drew her in. In a world where public reception often overshadowed personal reality, they became each other's confidants, offering solace and companionship in moments when the spotlight could feel isolating and harsh. This meeting was not just a casual encounter. It was the beginning of a friendship that would withstand fame, tragedy, and the complexities of public life, leaving a lasting mark on both of their lives. Throughout the 1980s, Elton John and Princess Diana's friendship grew stronger as they shared experiences that few others could understand. While their lives were vastly different on the surface, the pressures they faced created a unique bond. Elton was at the height of his career, performing for millions, touring extensively and constantly in the public eye. Despite this, he dealt with personal struggles, including battles with addiction, self-doubt, and intense scrutiny over his lifestyle. Diana, meanwhile, was navigating life as a young princess, trying to find her place within a royal family that demanded perfection and restraint. Her every move was analyzed by the press, and she struggled with the loneliness and emotional strain that came with her role. Despite these challenges, their friendship offered a safe space. Diana often attended Elton's charity events, particularly those raising awareness for AIDS, a cause they both championed. At a time when the disease carried immense stigma, Diana's willingness to visit patients, shake their hands, and embrace them without gloves changed public perceptions and demonstrated her courage. Elton admired her bravery and dedication, while she appreciated his understanding and support. Beyond charity work, they shared moments of laughter, playfulness, and honesty that few could witness. Elton described Diana as refreshingly real and empathetic, while she saw in him a source of humor and genuine companionship. Their friendship was built on mutual respect, trust, and understanding, allowing them to navigate the challenges of fame and public life together. Through shared experiences, they discovered a rare bond that transcended their differences in status, background, and lifestyle. The 1980s were a time of both joy and challenge for their friendship, as they learned to lean on one another in ways that only true friends could, building a connection that would endure through heartbreak, misunderstandings, and the trials that lay ahead. Even the strongest friendships can face challenges, and for Elton John and Princess Diana, the 1990s brought a test that neither expected. By the mid-1990s, both were navigating periods of intense personal and public pressure. Diana's marriage to Prince Charles had grown increasingly distant, with rumors of affairs, coldness, and emotional strain filling the tabloids. She was struggling with her identity, the loss of personal freedom, and the constant scrutiny that accompanied life as a princess. Elton, meanwhile, was dealing with the burdens of fame, addiction, and the pressures of constantly being in the public eye. They had always shared moments of laughter, understanding, and compassion. But now, even the smallest misstep could create tension. The friendship was put to the test over a charity project that meant a great deal to Elton, a coffee table book of rock photography, with all proceeds going to an AIDS foundation. Diana had initially agreed to write the foreword, symbolizing her support and reinforcing their shared commitment to important causes. However, unexpectedly, she withdrew her involvement. According to Elton, the withdrawal was influenced by royal advisors who disapproved of the content, which included images of semi-nude male models. Though the letter from Diana's office was polite, it carried a distance and finality that hurt Elton deeply. The withdrawal wasn't just a professional setback. It felt personal. He had trusted Diana, counted on her support, and suddenly the friendship he valued so highly seemed fragile. Their pride and hurt led to months of silence. Neither reached out to bridge the gap, and the once effortless companionship between them was replaced by tension and distance. Despite the separation, their underlying bond was still present. They understood each other in ways no one else could. Yet the missed calls, the unanswered letters, and the space between them weighed heavily on both. During this time, Elton continued his charity work, while Diana focused on humanitarian causes and rebuilding her life post-divorce. Both were busy, yet both carried the quiet ache of a friendship left unresolved. It was a painful reminder that even deep trust and understanding could be vulnerable to misunderstandings, pride, and external pressures. This period of silence, while difficult, also demonstrated the depth of their connection. Despite weeks or months apart, the shared history, laughter, and compassion had not disappeared. They had merely been paused, awaiting the right moment for reconciliation. Fate often has a way of reuniting people when they least expect it. In July 1997, a shocking tragedy brought Elton John and Princess Diana back into each other's presence. Italian fashion designer Gianni Versace, a close friend of both, had been murdered outside his Miami Beach mansion. The news sent shockwaves through the fashion and entertainment worlds, affecting everyone who had loved and admired Versace. Diana, who had modeled one of his gowns in Harper's Bazaar 6 years earlier, was devastated by the loss. She reportedly expressed to her bodyguard a fear for her own safety, saying, "Do you think they'll do that to me?" The comment was chilling, a foreshadowing of the vulnerability that would soon mark her life. At Versace's funeral in Milan, Diana spotted Elton sitting quietly in grief. Despite months of silence following their rift, she approached him, reaching for his hand, and whispered an apology. "I'm so sorry," she said. "It was silly, our falling out. Let's be friends again." In that moment, laughter returned to their friendship. Diana's humor, light, disarming, and always present even in moments of grief, broke the tension. She joked, "God, I'd love a polo," making them both laugh and reminding Elton why their connection had always been so special. That brief reunion rekindled the warmth, understanding, and trust that had defined their friendship for over a decade. It was a poignant reminder that despite pride, misunderstandings, and distance, their bond was resilient. They shared a deep history, one built on empathy, humor, and mutual support. And in that moment, the years of silence seemed to dissolve. Yet, even as they made plans to see each other again, fate had other plans. Just weeks after this tender reconciliation, the world would face one of the most tragic events of the late 20th century, an event that would forever change both their lives, leaving Elton to mourn a friend while carrying forward a legacy in ways the world would remember forever. The early hours of August 31st, 1997, marked a moment that stunned the world and left Elton John in deep grief. He was woken by the sound of his fax machine, a message alerting him to shocking news. Confused, he turned on the television and was met with a scene that would haunt millions. Princess Diana had died in a car crash in Paris, chased by paparazzi through the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. She was only 36 years old. The suddenness of her death made it feel unreal, especially to Elton. Just weeks before, they had shared laughter at Gianni Versace's funeral, discussing light-hearted jokes and reconnecting after months of silence. Now, that connection was severed forever. Elton was devastated, but he was asked to honor her memory in a deeply personal way, performing at her funeral. To commemorate Diana, he reworked the lyrics of his iconic 1973 song Candle in the Wind, originally written for Marilyn Monroe. The new version began, "Goodbye England's Rose, may you ever grow in our hearts," transforming the song from a musical hit into a heartfelt farewell. On September 6, 1997, Elton stood before millions of viewers at Westminster Abbey, hands trembling, emotions raw. The performance was not about him. It was about Diana. Every note, every word, conveyed the grief, love, and loss he felt for his friend. The song became a global phenomenon, selling over 33 million copies and resonated with audiences worldwide. Yet Elton himself never celebrated it as a career achievement. For him, it was a wound, a tribute to a friend who had been integral to his life, and whose absence left a void impossible to fill. Beyond the song, Elton's dedication to Diana's legacy continued. He remained protector of her sons, particularly Prince Harry, advocating against media intrusion and preserving the memory of their mother. Through his actions and his music, Elton allowed the world to see the compassionate, authentic, and fearless side of Diana, a side often hidden beneath royal protocol and public expectations. This tragic event, while marking the end of their physical friendship, solidified the impact of their bond, showing how deeply two people from vastly different worlds could influence, support, and care for each other in ways that transcended fame, status, and tragedy. Even after Diana's tragic death, Elton John's dedication to her memory and her family remained unwavering. His bond with Diana was more than celebrity gossip or royal fascination. It was a profound friendship built on empathy, trust, and shared humanity. Following her death, Elton became a steadfast protector of her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, understanding unique pressures they faced growing up in the shadow of intense media scrutiny. He often spoke publicly about the dangers of invasive press coverage, particularly after witnessing how relentless attention contributed to Diana's death. Elton maintained close relationships with both princes, hosting them privately at his home and offering guidance and support whenever necessary. Beyond personal support, Elton also continued his humanitarian work, inspired in part by Diana's example. Together, they had championed causes such as AIDS awareness, helping to shift public perception and provide care for those society often ignored. Through his ongoing advocacy, Elton ensured that Diana's courage and compassion continued to make an impact long after her passing. The world saw Diana as a princess, a fashion icon, and a charitable figure. But through Elton, people also glimpsed a woman behind the public image, a woman capable of humor, vulnerability, and boundless empathy. Their friendship served as a reminder that true connection transcends status, wealth, and fame. It demonstrated that people from vastly different worlds could find common ground, comfort one another, and leave lasting influence on each other's lives. Even decades later, the story of Elton John and Diana remains a testament to the power of friendship built on authenticity, mutual respect, and unconditional support. Elton often reflected on the lessons he learned from Diana and their time together. He admitted that he regretted moments when pride or misunderstandings kept them apart, realizing how fragile even the strongest bonds can be when life pressures intervene. His public statements and personal actions highlight the importance of empathy, forgiveness, and acting with compassion in relationships. He often expressed that if he could go back, he would have picked up the phone and reached out sooner, understanding that life is too short for pride or unresolved conflict. This reflection resonates universally, showing how even those who seem larger than life face the same challenges, doubts, and mistakes as everyone else. Diana, too, demonstrated a remarkable ability to care deeply for others, often put herself at risk socially or physically to help those in need. From visiting AIDS patients to supporting charities, her courage was reflected in the small and large actions that defined her character. Through Elton's memories, the world can see not only her public acts of heroism, but also the private moments of care, laughter, and humanity she shared with those she trusted. Their friendship exemplifies how personal connections can transcend barriers, providing solace and strength in a world that often prioritizes appearances over sincerity. It reminds us that true friends support one another unconditionally, even when circumstances are difficult, and that the bonds we form in trust and empathy can leave a lasting imprint far beyond the spotlight. In the end, the story of Elton John and Princess Diana is more than a tale of celebrity and royalty. It is a story of human connection, compassion, and resilience. From their first meeting at Windsor Castle to the moments of laughter, tears, misunderstandings, and reconciliation, their friendship reflects the beauty and complexity of human relationships. Elton's music, particularly Candle in the Wind 1997, captured the depth of grief and love he felt, transforming personal loss into a universal expression of mourning and tribute. Through him, Diana's legacy lived on, not just as a princess or public figure, but as a real woman who laughed, cried, and cared deeply for those around her. Their story teaches that friendship is built on honesty, empathy, and vulnerability, and that even in the face of tragedy, the bonds we nurture can have enduring significance. In remembering Diana through the lens of Elton John's experiences, we see a friendship that was extraordinary in its authenticity, warmth, and lasting impact. It is a reminder to value the people in our lives, to speak when words are needed, to forgive when misunderstandings occur, and to cherish connections that bring meaning, comfort, and joy, even in a world that often feels indifferent. Theirs was a friendship that transcended the ordinary, one that remains an inspiration to countless people around the world, a true testament to the power of human empathy, loyalty, and love. They laughed together when no one was watching. They comforted each other when life became unbearable. Behind the smiles, there was a silence that held heartbreak, pride, and regret. For years, Elton John kept the truth of his bond with Princess Diana hidden from the public. Their friendship was far more than celebrity encounters or casual charity events. It was a connection that offered comfort to two people who, in very different ways, struggled with the world around them. Elton and Diana were outsiders in their own worlds. Elton, a flamboyant musician, faced scrutiny over his sexuality and personal life, while Diana, soon be a princess, faced the suffocating pressures of royal protocol. Yet they found in each other someone who could listen, empathize, and understand without judgment. Their story, beginning in 1981, reflects laughter, empathy, and a bond that would endure both tragedy and fame. Elton John, born Reginald Kenneth Dwight in 1947, showed extraordinary talent from a young age, eventually attending the Royal Academy of Music. By the late 1970s, he had become a global superstar, known for his music, flamboyant costumes, and bold personality. Fame brought attention, but also scrutiny and isolation. Diana Spencer, born in 1961 to a noble British family, grew up with privilege but under strict expectations. Educated at boarding schools and groomed for aristocratic life, she faced pressure to excel in public while coping with private insecurities. By 1981, she was engaged to Prince Charles, entering a life filled with expectation, scrutiny, and the loss of personal freedom. Despite these differences, both felt loneliness and vulnerability. This mutual understanding formed the foundation of their friendship, a connection that would bring solace, joy, and support in a world that often demanded perfection. Their friendship began at Prince Andrew's 21st birthday party in 1981 at Windsor Castle. The grand ballroom glittered with chandeliers and aristocracy, but Elton, modestly dressed, felt out of place. When Diana entered, young and radiant, the atmosphere changed. She approached him with warmth, and within minutes, they were laughing, dancing, and mimicking the Charleston in the middle of the ballroom. Elton later described the moment as if he had known her forever. Diana's charm and ease made anyone feel comfortable, while Elton's wit and humor delighted her. They were both outsiders, he in high society, she in royalty, but together they found understanding, trust, and a rare friendship that would endure for decades. Throughout the 1980s, their friendship deepened. Diana often attended Elton's charity events, particularly those supporting AIDS awareness. At a time when the disease carried stigma, Diana's courage, visiting patients, shaking hands, and embracing them, changed public perception. Elton admired her bravery, while she valued his empathy and understanding. Their bond extended beyond charity. They shared laughter, honesty, and private moments away from cameras. Elton described Diana as refreshingly real, while she saw in a friend who could understand and support her. Despite fame and scrutiny, their friendship became a sanctuary, built on shared vulnerabilities, humor, and trust. By the mid-1990s, their friendship faced challenges. Diana's marriage to Prince Charles was deteriorating, while Elton dealt with addiction and public pressure. A charity project became the flashpoint. Elton was creating a photography book to benefit AIDS charities, and Diana had agreed to write the foreword. Suddenly, she withdrew, reportedly due to palace advisors objecting to images of semi-nude male models. Elton felt hurt not by her decision alone, but by the distance that followed. Pride and silence kept them apart for months. Despite this, their underlying bond remained, demonstrating the strength of a friendship built on empathy and understanding. Even during trials. In July 1997, tragedy brought them together again. Fashion designer Gianni Versace, a close friend, had been murdered. At his funeral in Milan, Diana approached Elton, ending months of silence. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "It was silly, our falling out. Let's be friends again." Diana broke the tension with humor, joking, "God, I'd love a polo," and they laughed together. Their reunion highlighted the resilience of their friendship, showing that trust and shared history could overcome pride and misunderstandings. They planned to meet again, but fate intervened tragically on August 31st, 1997. The world was shocked. Diana died in a car crash in Paris, pursued by paparazzi at just 36 years old. Elton John, devastated, was asked to perform at her funeral. He rewrote Candle in the Wind, transforming it into a farewell. Goodbye, England's rose. May you ever grow in our hearts. On September 6, 1997, he sang before millions at Westminster Abbey. The performance was not about fame or career. It was a personal tribute to a friend. The song became the best-selling single in history, yet Elton never celebrated it as a hit. It was a wound, a reminder of loss. Through his music, the world saw Diana's courage, humor, and humanity. Even after Diana's death, Elton honored her memory and remained close to her sons. He advocated for protection against media intrusion, understanding the pressures that had contributed to Diana's death. He continued humanitarian work inspired by Diana, particularly AIDS awareness, ensuring her legacy of compassion lived on. Through his memories, the world glimpsed the real Diana, a woman who laughed, cried, and cared deeply. Their friendship taught lessons about empathy, trust, and resilience. Even in tragedy, they demonstrated the power of human connection, showing that genuine friendship transcends fame, wealth, and societal expectations. The story of Elton John and Princess Diana is more than a tale of celebrity or royalty. It is a testament to human connection, compassion, and understanding. From their first meeting to moments of laughter, rifts, reconciliation, and ultimate tragedy, their friendship reflects the beauty and complexity of relationships that Elton's tribute. Their shared efforts in charity and the protection of Diana's family showcase a bond that transcended ordinary friendship. It teaches us to value trust, empathy, and honesty, to forgive, and to cherish connections. Their story remains an inspiration worldwide, a reminder that true friendship, built on authenticity and care, leaves an enduring mark, even in the face of loss. Even after Princess Diana's